10, the very first episode with me, your host, Angie, Lynn. I promise you, I was not trying to make that rhyme, but it worked. So here we go. Um, the first story is called The Price of Blessing. Her name was Daphne, and for a while, Daphne believed she was living the dream. Soft life, soft words, and a man who promised to take care of her. He wasn't her boyfriend, not really, but he called her my queen. And after years of being overlooked, that title filled the emptiness she didn't know how to pray about. He sent money, flowers, clothes, little pieces of affection wrapped in guilt she ignored. And when her friends called him her blesser, she laughed like it was a compliment. But one night, during a quiet movie at home, everything shifted. Daphne watched him scroll through his phone while she sat across from him, perfectly dressed and painfully silent. She was, hang on it, carry on. When she caught her reflection in his glasses, she saw another woman, probably her replacement, she thought. Later that night in the bathroom, with designer everything all around, she whispered, "Why do I feel so empty?" It wasn't sudden, the feeling that had been growing for months, but that night she couldn't ignore it any longer. She didn't want to admit it, but the blessing had become a business. And the cost wasn't money, it was her peace. None of the posts from the happy women being sponsored spoke of this. They never mentioned the lonely nights, the jealousy, the different men, none of whom satisfied, the cold purses, watches, clothes, money that offered no comfort. They lied. So without hesitation, Daphne grabbed her 20K Birkin and walked out. Quietly, no goodbye text, no closure conversation, just a woman reclaiming her dignity and walking back towards purpose. The next morning, she woke up in her own small apartment. No roses, no reservation. Just the warmth of sunlight spilling across the sheets. She made coffee, she prayed, and she cried. We've all been there. And for the first time in years, she didn't ask God for a man or anything material. She asked him for mercy. Days turned into weeks and the noise faded. The same people who once envied her glamorous lifestyle now asked how she glowed without luxury. Daphne just smiled and said, "Because peace is my new designer." "You like it?" she said, twirling on the concrete. She had learned that real blessings don't come from men with money, but from God who restores what money can't buy. She stopped chasing blessers and started walking with the blesser himself. And in that sacred space, she finally met herself again, whole, worthy, and healing. Let's be honest, there's a little Daphne in every woman who ever mistook provision for purpose and attention for affection, including me. But when we let God rewrite our story, the woman who once depended on others to bless her becomes a woman who God uses to bless others. Because true abundance isn't found in who funds your lifestyle. It's found in who fills your soul. And happiness isn't material. It's something born from the inner work of healing. So that's the end. And remember, don't be triggered, be healed. And you can find the rest of the story and more details on this story on my blog at hustletoheal.com. Thank you for listening and have a blessed day.